Welcome back to Dirty 20, everybody. Today we're going to talk about how we can inject a little bit of humor into our D&D games. This way we can make all the drama more impactful, and we're also going to look at a resource that might help you to achieve this. Let's get on with the show. I feel like comedy is an essential part of even the most serious campaigns. For the dramatic moments to really land hard, I think comedy is a really great counterpoint. We must also remember that RPGs are a form of entertainment, and so sometimes we just want to have a bit of fun, we want to have a laugh in our games. In my campaigns, I like to use funny voices for my NPCs to inject a little bit of humor. For example, I remember that we used the Xanathar, a beholder crime boss who is like serious stuff. I mean, facing him is dangerous. But I used a kind of 1920s, I'm here, and it became really memorable, and to the point that my players still talk about this today. In another campaign, I used a Mike Tyson voice on a character that the PCs had to interrogate and get some information from. And of course, you know, they're kind of like really trying to turn the screws on this guy, and he's got that kind of soft Mike Tyson, hey, yes, it's all good, with a little bit of a lisp, and, you know, again, really memorable stuff for my players. Creating comedy is very subjective. It's going to depend on what your players find funny, what the DM finds funny, but I think there's a really great resource out there, which we're going to look at today, which can really help you to get an injection of humor and really kind of set the tone for a campaign. In 2019, Wizards of the Coast released a book, Acquisitions Incorporated, in collaboration with Penny Arcade, which is a comic book, online comic book kind of website, and they make comic books. We've talked a little bit about Acquisitions Inc. If you haven't checked out our video on the best YouTube channels for D&D 5th edition, then please do so, because we talk about them. But I thought I'd just give a general overview to everyone who might not be familiar with them. Acquisitions Inc. began as a podcast back in 2009, where Christopher Perkins, who's one of the lead writers at Wizards of the Coast on 5th edition, he roped in some of his friends to try out D&D Next, which would then later become 5th edition. It developed into comic books, streams, and live D&D shows, which is how I kind of came across them. And it really is just a way to inject some dark office-type comedy into D&D, which I know sounds strange, but stick with me, it really works. So, jumping into the book, we can see immediately from the artwork, you get a sense that this book is not like other 5e books. The artist of the cover is Mike Krahulik, who plays Jim Darkmagic himself, one of the characters in Acquisitions Incorporated. And he's a really talented comic book artist from Penny Arcade, and pretty much an all-round funny guy. And I like the style of of the artwork on the front and in the book in general. So if we have a look, we can see that Chapter 1 it gives you some background and the premise of this kind of game. It gives you a little bit of history, like I've discussed, about Penny Arcade and Acquisitions Incorporated, how they kind of started out. And, you know, I think that it sets out in a great way what you have to look forward to. Chapter 2 deals with your franchise. It gives you some structure for the advancement of your franchise, a little bit about the kinds of headquarters you might have, the staff, the hirelings that you might get to use in the game, and but most importantly, you have the company positions. In the company positions, you have, for example, the cartographer, the decisionist, you have the documancer, the hordeperson, the lawmonger, the abbreviator, the occultant, and the secretarian. And all of them give a real kind of sense of the humor that is seeping through this book. If we take a look at the Documancer, which is probably my favorite of the company roles, you can see that not only is this a lot of fun, but they've gone to lengths to make it all still feel like a part of D&D 5th edition. So if you decide to be a Documancer, then at rank 1, you get a couple of things. You gain proficiency with calligrapher's supplies. So you get, and you actually get some equipment as well. Ink, a dozen sheets of parchment, 3 quills, a documancy satchel for your calligraphy supplies, a ledger, sealing wax, copper and silver leaf, a documancer seal of limited authority, and a scroll case. So just a little bit of a couple of things, proficiency with a set of tools. It's not game breaking, but you know, it's nice. It allows you to do a few extra things for your character. You also get Gift of Words. Now, Gift of Words, at rank 1, you are fluent in the semi-arcane language of Documancy. This knowledge grants you advantage on intelligence checks to decipher codes or similar scripts. The DM might also provide you with hints whenever you try to solve a puzzle or decipher clues involving writing. Again, not hugely game-breaking, but really, really quite cool. You also get, at higher ranks, some other little flavoursome, but also slightly crunchy mechanical kind of things. And again, we're talking about ranks here, so your franchise rank goes up at certain levels. It only goes up like 3-4 ranks, I believe. But, you know, at those moments, you gain certain things. Now, a lot of this is very fluff heavy, but it's not just fluff. I will say, though, that fluff is where the fun is. From, for example, reasons why you became a Documancer, to your favorite methods of destroying a document, which I think is really, really quite cool. You know, all of these things are just little elements similar to bonds, flaws, and personality traits. These things give you a sense of your character and how to play them. So, again, we're looking to inject a bit of comedy, a little bit of lightheartedness, and this is doing it for us in spades. Chapter 3 is all about player options. Here you're going to get a few new backgrounds. So, for example, you have the gambler background, which is pretty cool. I like the idea of playing a gambler a la kind of Maverick or something like that. You also have, for example, the rival intern. You were an intern at Rival Acquisitions Incorporated, and you gained a healthy respect for not just the job and the franchising opportunities, but for the ruthlessness and efficient way Acquisitions Incorporated goes about its business. Why deal with the rest when you can work for the best? So again, you get some skill proficiencies, tool proficiencies, languages, and equipment like in backgrounds. And you also have these suggested personality traits, ideals, bonds, and flaws. All awesome for a bit of character creation. Now, you also get a little bit of a kind of breakdown of how you can adapt some of the classic classes to play in this a bit more comedy-infused, humor-infused kind of campaign. Whether it's, for example, there's a great little table here, which is Insults to die for the bard. Again, when you cast Vicious Mockery, you're essentially insulting your opponent. And so it's nice to have some of these. For example, number 3, you smell like a hellhound's hindquarters. Or you're as helpful as a halfling. Again, just fun little things to give you a sense of what you can do to infuse some comedy into your game. So there is a new ancestry, the Verdun, which are actually pretty awesome. Their backstory has a little bit of a kind of Cthulhu-esque vibe, and some of the traits are pretty spectacular. For example, +1 to Constitution and Charisma +2. That is going to make for a pretty awesome, Warlock, Paladin. Any of these charisma classes are going to be great with a little bit of added extra hit points. Now, you also have some new spells. My favorite of which by far is Jim's Magic Missile. Any apprentice wizard can cast a boring old magic missile. Sure, it always strikes its target. Yawn. Do away with the drudgery of your grandfather's magic with this improved version of the spell, as used by Jim Dark Magic. So it's a little bit different. You actually have to make a ranged spell attack for each missile. On a hit, missiles deal 2d4 force damage to its target, which is pretty awesome. If the attack is a critical, though, the target of that missile takes 5d4 force damage instead of you rolling twice for critical. But if the attack roll of any missile is a 1, all missiles miss their target and blow up in your face, dealing 1 force damage per missile to you. Again, funny, right? Flavoursome. Chapter 4 is an adventure that takes players from 1st to 6th level. I haven't really had much of a read through it, but again, I would absolutely assume that it is infused with some great humor and would probably be a lot of fun to start out with. And then, you can go on and do your own thing and maintain that kind of tone. So then we have the appendices. Appendix A is NPCs. These guys are actually members of Acquisitions Inc. If you're a fan, you're going to love this stuff. It's hilarious. And, Viari, just easily my favorite intern ever. Still on probation, I'm pretty sure. But really, really cool. Appendix B, you've got some new monsters. Appendix C is some cool vehicles that they've had throughout the run of the show. Appendix D is related to the adventure. It's an item that you are essentially, I think you're searching for the different components to complete it. And finally, Appendix E is all about some trinkets. Instead of using the ones that are in Chapter 5 of the Player's Handbook, you can get some which are, again, a bit more related to the kind of campaign that you're going to be playing with this book. There we have it. Acquisitions Incorporated. Great addition to your library if you're looking to play a fun, humor-filled campaign. Definitely recommend it. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. As always, it means a lot to us. If you wouldn't mind sharing this with your friends, giving us a like, or subscribing if you haven't yet, it means so much to us, and it allows us to keep bringing you this content that we love to make. Have you had any good or bad experiences with humor in D&D? Let us know down in the comments. And as always, keep slaying. If you've enjoyed this content, then please smash that like button, subscribe, share this around online, and come and visit our website, www.lavictoriaproductions.com, to see all our past episodes, as well as our blog posts and all the stuff that we're currently working on at La Victoria Productions. Why not reach out to us and tell us what you think of our videos? You can reach us on Twitter, at @MouthLaVictoria is our producer. We are also on Instagram. I am EnanoLVP, and our producer is Jazzy J. Cherot. We're also La Victoria Productions on Facebook and LinkedIn. Come on by and let us know what you think.